Hi, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. We're going to give it just a couple of more minutes and we will get started. You can see on the screen, this is the South Glens Falls Senior High School virtual school open house information meeting. It is starting right now at 6 o'clock. My name is Geraldine Stellato. I am the district's technology integration, director of technology integration and information, and I am also the virtual school principal. So if you have any questions about virtual school, you can always contact me as well as Mr. Modi from the high school. Mr. Modi is also on this call today. He is happy to jump in at any time and fill in any of the gaps that I may have about high school and the ins and outs of what goes on there. On my presentation page here, the very first page, I do have a QR code and I do have a URL. If you have any questions, I did send this out earlier to families, but if you have any questions while I'm presenting today, feel free to fill in this Google form, ask any questions. Mr. Modi is going to keep an eye on the spreadsheet and he'll jump in every once in a while if there's a question and we can answer it right here during this live stream. So I'll give you a minute to just scan that QR code or type in the bit.ly on the bottom. And Mr. Modi, you are right. It is very odd giving a couple of minutes of silence on a live stream when you are talking to a screen. Well, I'd like to start off by thanking people for joining us tonight. I know the decision to have your student join virtual school and not go into the physical school building for the first semester was a very difficult decision for a lot of families. We've been working very hard here at South Glens Falls all summer long, preparing our students, our staff, our administrators to get ready for a new school year, whether your children are in the hybrid school or the virtual school. So we have some expectations for virtual school that are going to be a little bit different than it was when we stopped school so abruptly in March of last year. This year, because we had time to reflect on the spring and we're able to move forward by taking some of the reflections we had and making it better for our students. So one of the expectations is that there is a solid commitment to participate in online learning for the entire semester. We're doing that because there is a real delicate balance between the students that are in school in our hybrid model and the students that are in virtual settings. As you know, students are supposed to be getting their schedules on Friday. Unfortunately, our virtual school students are still not going to be completely ready by Friday. It's because it's quite a task to split up the school that way and to create new schedules. All the schedules that we had kind of were blown up and we had to put them all back together again in a different way. So please be patient with that, and that's why we really have to keep that commitment for the entire semester. Another expectation we have is that daily attendance is required for the fall in virtual learning as well as our hybrid models. What that means is that the students' teachers are going to be taking attendance during every block that they have. So the students will be following their schedule and they will be expected to attend. Now, attendance may take different forms. It may take the form of connecting through a Google form. It might mean connecting with other students, or it might mean joining into a Google Meet, but they are expected to be part of every class. Another expectation is that students are required to follow the daily learning schedule. They're required to meet deadlines, and they're required to participate in all real-time virtual lessons. Last year in the spring, we were not as strict with that. Part of it was because we weren't taking grades at all. This year, grading will be very different, so they really need to be able to participate and engage in all of their lessons. Lastly, one of the main expectations is that students at home need support as far as a space where they can where they can learn and join their Google Meets and have their lessons, a space to work, a space where they will not get interrupted, that's quiet and away from other family members. So home support is needed as well as that support here at school. Next, we're going to talk about teaching and learning. So at the high school, the way the virtual school will be set up is that students will be in class only with students who have also chosen the virtual school option. They will not be mixed with hybrid students for the most part. There's a couple of exceptions along the way, but typically students will only be in class with other virtual school students. All virtual sections have been created within the schedule so that some of the teachers that we have will teach some in-person classes, and they'll also be teaching 100% virtual classes built right into our schedule. Students are going to follow their daily schedule as if they were in school, and they will follow the block schedule format. So when the students get their final schedules, it will look exactly the way it would look as if they were coming to school every day. They're just not going to come into the building. They'll have to either log into a Meet or a Google Classroom at the time that their class is scheduled to meet. Some of the classes at the high school are not going to be available virtually because of the nature of the course or the limited number of students that have enrolled. I know many of you have already spoken with school counselors about this, and you've looked at different options to meet your needs. On Friday the 28th, all students at the high school are going to be able to see their schedules on School Tool. However, the virtual school student schedules are not complete because we're not starting school until September 14th. When you log on to School Tool on Friday, you may see a schedule, but please remember it is not complete yet and it won't be finalized until next week. When it is finalized, you'll be receiving an email from myself or Mr. Modi letting you know that is now the accurate schedule that you can follow for virtual school that starts on September 14th. If you are curious about what courses we are offering in virtual school, we did send home a virtual school course catalog in an email sent by Ms. Orr last week. You can also reach out to your school counselors and they can help you with that. This changes from time to time. We've had to update this from time to time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. The first people you should contact about scheduling are your school counselors. Mr. Modi, did you want to add anything into that?
Yeah, I think just to be patient, the grouping information is coming out. We're literally working around the clock to get that done. So yeah, if things arise, we will iron it out the best we can between now and the start of school. But there will be information coming out for me to help guide you through those schedules in a separate email, and then there'll be live School Tool Friday and in the mail shortly thereafter. So a paper copy will be en route.
Great, thank you. What I'd like to do next is kind of take you through a student schedule. I'd like to show it to you from the perspective of a month down to a week, then what one day will look like, and then break it right down to one class. So I know many of you have already seen this schedule. Mr. Modi has gone over this several times in his block scheduling video, as well as his informational night he had last week. This is our September schedule for all of our students in grades 6 through 12. If you notice with the red arrow, it shows that the hybrid school students will begin on the week of the 8th, but our virtual school students are not going to begin classes until the week of the 14th. With that being said, it does not mean that some of their teachers may not reach out to them the week of the 8th. They may send them an email, show them how to join their Google Classroom, have them go in and maybe do some preliminary activities just to get ready, but they will not be expected to attend until the 14th. Notice on this schedule, it has groups and the cycle day of the week. Students that are in virtual school do not have to look at the groupings. They are for hybrid students only. So all you need to be concerned about as you're looking at this calendar is what cycle day of the week it is. So on the 14th, it will start as a C day. So you will follow your C day schedule. The 15th is a D day. Wednesday, the 16th is an A day. The 17th goes back to a C day. And then the 18th is a D day. If you follow the cycle days, you'll be all set and you'll be able to follow your schedule easily. So just ignore those groupings. Those are for the hybrid kids, and you'll be all set. Now down to one day that we're looking at. This is a typical day of what the blocks would look like and how it will be broken up. It is not very different from the way it looks for a student that's in school that day. Block 1 will start at 7:50, and at 7:50, it's expected that you will log in to either a Google Classroom or a Google Meet to have whole group or small group instruction or some mixture of both. So it will start at 7:50, and it will be expected that you will do some kind of lesson or activity from 7:50 to 9:11 for your Block 1 class. After Block 1 in school is homeroom. And since we don't have homeroom for our virtual school kids, you'll simply go right into a break. So the break will happen from the time Block 1 is finished until the time Block 2 starts. Block 2 will start, same way, starts at 9:26. From 9:26 to 10:46, you're expected to log into your Block 2 class and do the activities and lessons the teacher has planned for you. Block 3 is a little bit different because that's our lunch block. And if you're going to note, you'll notice that you will follow the schedule based on what lunch that you've been scheduled. So the first one is Block 3, or I'm sorry, lunch 1. The next one's lunch 2, and the last one's lunch 3. Your virtual school teacher who has you for that block may shift this around a little because obviously you're not going into a lunchroom with other students. So they may want to shift the times a little bit there, but still sticking to that 81 minutes for your class. You will have 40 minutes for lunch during that time. Block 3, same thing as Block 1 and 2. You'll simply go into Block 3 at 1:04. You'll do activities and lessons to go along with the class you have during that block, and it will end at 2:25. Now, what does a block look like? And I know that Mr. Modi has talked to people about this, and I know we have examples of what lessons will look like, but in a lot of the comments I've had so far in the Google form I sent home, people were really concerned that their kids were going to be sitting in front of a video of a teacher teaching for 81 minutes. So I just wanted to explain to you, number one, that that's not the goal of a block schedule at all, whether the kids are in person or the kids are virtual. This is an example of what a breakdown would look like during a class period. There are many different variations to this. It depends on the structure of the class, it depends on the topic, and it depends on the teacher. But basically, what could happen is that the students could start their class for the first 15 minutes doing a welcome activity or an activity check-in. They may log into a meet just to see each other and talk. At the very beginning, we're really encouraging our teachers to take some time to get to know the students, for the kids to be able to talk to each other and see each other. Some of them have been pretty isolated for the past 5 or 6 months. So this is the first time that they're really going to be able to see each other and interact. The next 20 minutes could be real-time lessons. It could be all students on a meet. It could be a video of a meet, but it'll definitely be that time to have that direct instruction from their teacher. The next 40 to 45 minutes could be a variety of activities. You could have group work, partner work, independent work with a teacher check-in. Kids could possibly work in small groups. Some could work with a teacher. There's a variety of different activities that they could go do during that time. At the very end of your block, that's when the teacher will have them all come back together and wrap it up and give them some expectations for what will be happening during the next class. So be just assured that your students are not going to be sitting in front of a lecture for 81 minutes. It'll definitely be more interaction than that. Grading and expectations, I touched upon this a little bit earlier, but one of the expectations that we have is that students are going to be assessed and given feedback regularly. Now, what that feedback looks like and what that assessment looks like, it's going to vary from teacher to teacher, from class to class. It may be traditional types of assessment, but it could also be pieces of writing. It could be projects. It could be performance-based tasks. There's lots of different ways that they can be assessed. And in a virtual setting, it may look a little bit different. Grades are going to be using the same scale and criteria as any of our in-person classes. So be aware of that. We will have grading. And if students need any assistance with anything, if they need help with anything, the teachers are going to be holding regular office hours. Now, Mr. Modi, I know I had here Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Is that accurate? Do I have the right information there that teachers normally will see students after school, or is it an in-school type of time that they normally see them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, teachers have free blocks where they run study halls, so it is possible that a teacher may offer to meet with a kid when they have a planning block and just do it over a Google Meet.
Great.
We're actually strongly considering not even having in-person after school until October, so that you're right, the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday time slots may be virtual for everybody. So that may be by appointment, so they can have the ability to do some one-on-one or small group work.
Okay, so we'll definitely have some definite information going out on that when they'll be able to meet with their teacher, but the teacher will also let them know, and they will be available to help. Student services and special education. Students are going to be assigned special education staff based on their 504 plan or IEP services. So if your student is a special education student, please be aware of that. They're also going to continue to have a case manager. All of our special ed students are required to follow our virtual school schedule, follow the schedule they would normally have. They're required of attendance and the requirements outlined in the handbook that I sent home last week. If you need any information, please send all of your questions to the Director of Special Education, Jessica Spellberg, and she's happy to help out. I know she's been on the phone with a lot of parents already, and she's more than happy to help you with any questions you might have. So technology, that's been a big question. It was a big question on the form I sent out. A lot of people had questions about the Chromebooks because your children have had their Chromebooks since they were in 6th grade, and they wanted to know if there was going to be a swap out. It is absolutely our plan to swap out Chromebooks for kids going into 9th grade. In 9th grade, students get a new Chromebook. We have a little bit of a glitch with that in that because of COVID-19, there's quite a backup of any orders that anybody has all over the country and anything to do with electronics. We are hoping that our order of Chromebooks will be coming in this week. I just spoke to Mr. Spada about it today. Once he has them, we will schedule a time for your student to drop off their Chromebook that they had in middle school and pick up the Chromebook that they're getting for 9th grade. So that's why it says to be determined on the screen. We'll let you know when they're available. I know some of you are concerned about your Chromebooks not working properly. On our South Glens Falls website, there is a place where you can go to have technology help. There is a repair form. Please go in, fill it out, and Mr. Spada will get back to you. Some of you have also been concerned about hotspots and connectivity. I wish we had more control over connectivity in the area. There are some areas in our general region that just do not have good connectivity, and we're doing our best to remedy that. But if you are in need of a hotspot because of that, please contact Mr. Liss if you're in 9th and 11th grade, or Mr. Belknap if you're in 10th and 12th grade. You can also contact me, and we will let Mr. Spada know, and he can troubleshoot that for you. I did put on here that the 2 main platforms that we're going to be using this year are Google Classroom for your daily schedule and assignments, and Google Meet for any of our real-time instruction. Your students will also be using a variety of other programs, but it's really subject and teacher dependent. Athletics and extracurricular activities. There were many questions on the forum about this, and when I wrote this, actually, I think it was 2 days ago, I put this presentation together. We said that at this time, all athletics are suspended until further guidance. And then yesterday morning, it was announced that on September 21st, some sports are going to resume. There is more to come on that. Mr. Greep, once he has all of that information for us, he will let us know, and that information will be communicated to you because, yes, virtual students are allowed to participate in sports and any extracurricular activities once they open up. So that may, we're going to have guidelines and parameters around that, but look for that communication when it comes out. Mr. Modi, is there any more information on that I missed today that came out after the announcement?
Not yet. The Section 2 athletic directors and their leadership are still talking in terms of how that's going to shake out for individual sports programs and individual schools, and we're A, B, C, and D in terms of our class level. So yeah, that's more to come. I guess I could have said that much shorter.
More to come. Thank you. But we are happy that they're starting soon. That gives us a little bit more normalcy to our lives. So I'll end with communications and the South High community. So it's really a unique situation that we now have this virtual school happening. But we're really happy that our virtual school for high school is embedded into the regular school schedule. It's really important that the students in the virtual high school still feel like they're part of the South High community. And because of that, we're definitely going to be keeping up communications within South High. You will still be getting communications from Mr. Belknap, Mr. Liss, and Mr. Modi. We still want you to reach out to your school counselors with questions. They are still part of your school life and your school career. When it's time for you to come back to school, you will be right back into your schedule. We will make sure it is all set for you and you can pick up your classes just where you left off in virtual school. We will have office hours so you can meet with your teachers, so you can get the help that you need. Communication will go through Google Classroom, Google Meet, Remind, email. There's lots of different ways to get that information out to you. We'll have a digital toolkit that's going to be released very soon to support families with some of the main digital tools we're using. So we really want you to feel like, or we really want you to understand that we want to keep up the communication between South High and the virtual school families, that it's not just me because I'm the virtual school principal, but that Mr. Modi still is a big part of your everyday school life. Mr. Modi, did you want to add anything? I know you do. I can tell by the look in your face.
That's right. Always an email away. So just because you're with Mrs. Stellato doesn't mean that that I'm not a resource for you if you need it. So just know that yeah, I'm here if you need anything.
Absolutely, you have those strong relationships with the kids, so that would be great to keep those up. So that is the end of our presentation. We wanted to go through those points with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Geraldine Stellato. I am the virtual school principal. My email address is right there. You will also find more contact information for me on our website. Mr. Modi, are there any questions out there that I need to answer?
Literally got two that just popped in.
Great.
The first one is, when will the digital toolkit be available? And can you please provide Google Classroom webinars? That was.
Yes, those are both really great questions. So the toolkit is just about finished. It'll be available next week. We're launching it. Google Classroom tutorials are an interesting thing. We've talked a lot about that, and I'm encouraging teachers to create tutorials for their own Google Classrooms because every teacher sets it up a little bit differently. So because of that, it makes more sense for the teachers to release that. We can send out a generic one if that is helpful, and I am happy to do that. But just know the the organization of it may be a little bit different depending on each teacher. So we can definitely work on that for you. But that'll be all out next week, along with tutorials on the Remind app. We'll have some on Google Meets, Google Meet best practices, that kind of thing will all be in that toolkit.
We had one other question,
Yeah.
and that's, will a course catalog for the middle school be sent? And that might be a Mr. Hammond, Mr. Ruby question, but I'm not sure if that was meant as a.
I can answer that.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, so for the middle school, the course catalog is a little bit different because the way that the courses are offered there aren't as many, there isn't as big of a variety of courses. So we can offer just about everything at the middle school. So we didn't have to have a course catalog. The only thing that we are not able to offer at the middle school is music, orchestra, band. They can't have virtually. Everything else though, they're able to. We're figuring out how to get in art and home and careers were two of the big ones. So that's why it's a little bit different. The high school has a much larger course catalog, so it's harder to get all of those things scheduled with smaller number of students taking specific classes. It's hard to create a full section for a class when we only have one or two virtual students signed up for it. So that's the difference between the two. So the only course catalog we have will be at the high school. Mr. Modi, are there any others out there? Nope, we're good.
That is all of them, although it appears the person that was asking about the digital toolkit and the webinars is very appreciative of your response.
Oh, wonderful. I can definitely get that taken care of, and it'll be sent out next week. We'll make sure that we send out any correspondence to go along with virtual school will be sent out to you either via email or through school messenger. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. Please reach out if you have any questions. Again, Mr. Modi, Mr. List, Mr. Belknap, myself, any of your school counselors are here to help. Thanks for joining us today and have a great night.